Greetings and welcome back to SmartWatchTicks. If you're watching this video, then most likely one of these four watches is going to end up on your wrist. Why? Well, because you just gotta have them. Let's see what we have here. This is a comparison video many of you have asked for, and here we go. I'm going to deliver. But I'm telling you, we're going to do this in some pieces. This is the first segment. It's going to be kind of the look and feel of the watch. We're not really going to get into what it does as much as what it looks like and feels like and how they're different. Then we're going to do something, because beauty isn't always skin deep, right? We're going to actually open them up and look inside, take the back off, see how you put in a SIM card and what's the build quality of each of these watches. And finally, we'll turn them on and look at the software differences between them. There's full reviews on each and every one of them, so I'm not going to go through all the little itty-bitty stuff. We're just going to look at the differences. Whichever one appeals to you, you can jump over and watch that full video. We have the unboxings, the first looks. Some of them have in-depth reviews. A lot of stuff to go through. But today, right now, let's take a look at these from the outside. I will start off with the Trailblazer from, let's say last year. Actually, it's earlier this year. This is my Finau X5, and it has a loose button. If you watch my other videos, you'll remember that I had a boo-boo and kind of pulled on the button and it came out. And I haven't made it an effort to put it back in because it's really cool without it, actually. But anyway, this is that watch. It is not an Android 5.1, but this is the one we're going to kind of use for comparison purposes. It comes with a charging dock. Looks like this. You plug the USB cable into it. When we take a look at it, let's turn it around, hold on to the button. We have the charging area. Now, I want you guys to notice, you see how these are starting to get tarnished? I wear this watch a lot, and all of these watches, all of them that have the exposed connectors on the back side, you run the risk of them getting dirty. And they'll still charge probably, but connecting to the computer can be a problem. You have to clean them off. I left it that way so you could see it. This has got a pretty decent speaker right there. It's got leather bands. They're stiff. I personally don't like stiff bands, and I don't like the idea of just, it kind of being loose or too tight. I'm somewhere in between sometimes on these watches, so it makes it a little bit of a challenge to wear them. But everybody has their preference. We're going to be looking at thickness. This is a pretty thin watch. It runs the Android 4.4.2 operating system. And it's got a variety of watch faces, including the developer watch faces that we can put on the Android 4.4 watches. The Android 5.1 watches so far do not support the developer watch faces. So if you really enjoy the hundreds of watch faces, you pretty much have to not yet go with the 5.1 Android watches and stick with the Android 4.4. But in terms of the watch format, the size, this is the most comparable to the ones you're about to see. It's the larger size. You could call it the bigger Apple Watch as opposed to the smaller one. The smaller ones like this are the Finau X1 and X3 and the number 1 D5. Those all are similar but smaller. This is in the same class as these, so we're going to stick with that. So you've got the watch. Anything I forgot? 3 buttons. Yeah. This one kind of turns, but it doesn't really do anything in the turning. And we'll talk about the functions when we get into looking at the software. Just from an aesthetic perspective, this is what you've got. I've got a pretty average to larger arm as a guy, so it's definitely a male-focused or larger wrist person's watch. It's got the nice leather band. Nothing wrong with it. The bands are not removable. And that's it. So that's our first look at the Finau X5 watch with the magnetic coupled back. And we'll set that one aside as we explore these 3 watches. This one here is the IQI i2 watch. This one here is the Kingwear KW88. And this one here is called the Z9 from China Vision. They all have relatively stiff bands, so it's kind of hard to hold them up on their own. There you go. And because right now they're at different heights to the camera, it might be an illusion as to which one's got the bigger dial, that kind of stuff. So let's kind of take them in groups. Let's put these two together. Hi, come back here. There we go. And let's look at them. The IQI I2 and the Kingware KW88. These are the ones mostly I hear a lot of people wanting comparisons for. As you can see, they are pretty close in terms of the dial size. And the brightness, illumination, darkness, all the things we're looking for in the watch face are there. The numbers and information you see on the outside of the I2 is more subdued than it is on the KW88. Okay. As far as charging goes, this one charges with the little connector on the back. So it's made for magnetic charging with a little coupler like that. Plugs onto it. All right. It does not have a snap-on dock. Whereas, the I2 has a very strong magnetic coupled back to it, like so. And it's a trick to kind of line it up because the button's up on the top, but you can do it. And that's its charging cradle. And of course it connects to the USB port right there. All right. Well, all right, let's bring in, while we're doing the docks, the Z9, okay? And this one has a really interesting kind of a dock. It's also challenging to get on and off because it actually snaps on. It has the 4-pin connector charger, and it has these other two things. This is like a cover for the camera that's on the side, and this snaps up into the speaker port area. You have to line it up just right and snap it on for it to go. Then it connects, and again, you plug your USB in there. All right, so that's the dock for this one. So we kind of covered charging for all of these. We didn't compare these yet. There's these two together, just to give you an idea of the KW88 with the Z9 from China Vision. Okay, and then these two together, just from the front. So they all kind of serve different purposes as well, as you can see physically. When we look at this one first, this is the I2. This one has got the leather band, very similar to the X5 that we were looking at. When you put it on, it looks like this. Okay, nice watch. Overall, good look. The buttons are small on the side. The one is recessed. It's got a little bit of work around the bezel. I don't know, edging that you've got. And kind of stiff, but nonetheless functional. Charger on the bottom. Haven't worn this one a whole lot, but you can notice that the contacts are suppressed. They're down lower than what we saw in the X5, so there shouldn't be as much tarnish buildup. You got the diode in the middle for doing the heart rate. You have to unscrew the back completely in order to put the SIM card in. We'll be showing that when we disassemble these watches. Speakers on the side, okay. We're going to check this, but that's, I would say, the thickest of all of the watches. It's a little bit thick on the arm. But overall, it's a nice watch, if you like that. Let's see if we can stay on with that one. Which one is? Okay, let's come back here. Here we are with the KW88. Now this one has a camera on it, just like the Z9. It has one single button above that. And this one's the gold one, so you can see it's kind of finished in gold. The speaker's on the side. Charging dock on the bottom, again recessed, but a little bit wider. This one you have a little opening that you can get into to change the SIM card or install it, as opposed to having to take the whole back off. We'll show you both of those taken off later. There's your heart rate monitor on this one. This has got different bands. Unlike the other two that have leather bands, this has got, I'd call it a rubber band. It's not the silicone kind of band that we've seen on, like the X3, I guess, watch. But it's nonetheless, it's kind of a rubbery band. Again, can't take it off because the antennas are in here. So if you're choosing a watch based on bands, you pretty much have to go with the band that you want. You're not going to put that band on that watch, for example. They're pretty fixed already. What else? Not as thick as what we've seen on the i2. This is what this one looks like on. You've got pretty bright numbers all around the bezel, so it makes it for a busy look. It kind of depends on the watch face, I guess, that you have up. But that's what it looks like. If you're going to use the camera, you got to kind of tilt your arm down, and there's the camera hole right there. So yeah, you have to play with that. But it is a feature that you have on this one that you don't have on the i2. In fact, the i2 is the only one that doesn't have the camera of the three of these. So while we're on camera, we can take a look at the Z9. It takes me a while to memorize all of these. So the Z9 watch. Stay. All right. The Z9 watch looks like this. This one's orange. They come in black, bezel, all that kind of stuff. They're different looks, different feels. This one is rubbery and ruggedized. It's a really solid build on this, and it's also the only one that's waterproof of the group. This one's waterproof to IP67. 68 means you can go swimming with it, take it underwater up to 2 meters. The 67, you can definitely splash it and get it wet. Submersion, it's risky, but you can certainly get it wet. I think you could wash your hands with this, maybe even shower with it. I'm not going to overextend myself and say do it, but it's definitely going to survive water better than the other two. However, it doesn't quite look as dressy if you were going to go out on the town, right? Again, this is way further away from the camera than that is. Don't judge the size of the screen by what it looks like here. They're all pretty much the same size, I think, and they're just stacking different. We're highlighting this one right now, so we're right here. Speaker on this side, camera, microphone, one button there. So these are all one button watches, here, here, and here, and they're all in the 10 o'clock position for the buttons. It's just these two also have cameras on the side. On the back, we have the charging docks, which are flat. You're going to get the same kind of thing as we have in the, come back here, as we have in the X5 over time, probably on this watch. One thing you can do is you can just put a piece of Scotch tape over that if you're going to wear it and go out, especially if you're going to exercise and possibly sweat. Just cover those things and you should be okay. There's the diodes for heart rate. This one you have to take the back off completely in order to get to the SIM card. This is the one here, the KW88, that you have a separate compartment. This one here, you also have to take the back off. See the difference a little bit in how that's down a little bit further from your skin contact than this one is? Okay. I mean, they really are all built differently, which is very fascinating to see. And you're going to notice that the software inside of them is somewhat different as well. A basic core software, just like on your phones, and then you get an overlay that the company decides to put on it. Rubberized bands. Are we missing anything? You see it on? When I wear this, this is the most comfortable of all. This really is. I tell you, of all the watches that I don't even notice I have a watch on, so far it's the Z9, and it's that smaller Finale watch, the 2-button one, the X3. Simply because the bands are really comfortable and adjustable. The X3 it's got more stretch in it. This has a little bit of stretch. It's kind of rubbery, okay, but I guess it's a silicone rubber. This one is a little stiffer but perforated so it can breathe. And of course, the i2 is a leather band. It's not going to do any of that kind of stuff. So there you have it. We want to do some more close comparisons by just trying to line them up for you. There they are, all in a row. Eyeballing it, this one looks a little larger, doesn't it, in its overall screen size. Check the actual review videos for specs. I'm not going to get into all of that now. This is just look and feel. Does it look right for you? Does it feel like it would be the kind of watch you'd want to wear? These two look about the same size in terms of the layout. Okay, now thickness, other criteria. We put these two side by side and you can see the difference in thickness. This is all silver, so it's going to really show thick, but counting for the bezel and everything here, the i2 is a bit thicker than all of them, right? Here it is against this one. Okay. And then you take these two and take a look at them, the ones with the cameras in them. And, you know, this has got a black bottom and a black top, so you're seeing the metal in the middle making it look thin. This is all black, and the bezel's at the top kind of hardly visible. They look pretty close. I mean, microns. Not a whole lot of difference there. Now, let me share something with you that I have found in operation. It kind of crosses over between look and feel and actual functionality. All right, lay down then. Start with this one, the i2. I'm talking a long time because I got that set for a long turnout. The bezel is here. None of the bezels turn. But I want you to notice how thick this thing is. And ironically, a lot of what you got to do with the watch is slide to get to things, right? Now, you can do it right in the middle, but sometimes, for some things, and in some apps, you got to go all the way from the edge. Like if you're trying to do the Google Play Store and you're trying to open up the edge, because this has a really thick bezel, I have found it difficult to do that. It is higher than the screen, and if you need to activate from the edge pixels, it's challenging. That's on the i2. Okay? When we go to the KW88, it also has a high bezel, but not as high. There's a thickness, but it's a little bit less. So it's a little bit easier to get your finger in there and tap that edge. This one now, the Z9, look at that. It's right straight flat across. There is no bezel. It is seamless. So if you're using one of those apps that, you know, you swipe in from the side or swipe up from the bottom or something, this watch is a dream. It's really nice. It's smooth. It's easy. And if your fingers are wet, you know, if the watch has gotten wet, everything's fine. The water will run off. It wouldn't pool on the surface. But this isn't a fashion watch. This is a rugged outdoors watch. But nonetheless, that's a feature that I find particularly appealing for this watch. The feel of the band, the flatness of the surface, and it's just a matter of choice, matter of feel. But that's pretty much what these three watches look like. Yes, I'm going to try to review more. I know I don't have the ZGPAX S, 99 in here. I don't have the Z-Blaze Blitz or any of the other kind of stuff. There's more coming. But this is what I have on hand right now, and so we're going to go ahead and do the review now to compare all of these. The next one, we will open the back, take a look inside, and check build quality. So if you're making a decision, that could influence you as well. Thanks for watching part 1 of our Android 5.1 round smartwatch comparisons.